Hola chicos, soy tu profe Katia y hoy vamos a continuar con nuestra clase de los STEM Changing Verbs Part 2 que tiene que ver con los verbos de O a UE. So O to UE STEM Changing Verbs. Vamos. Estoy lista para más verbos. Ya regresaste. Vale, vamos. Primero un repaso. Con los verbos de STEM Changing, primero tienes que quitar el final. Entonces, en el ejemplo del verbo almorzar, hay que quitar el final como un verbo normal. Después ya tienes el base del verbo y el base es almorz. So, ya tengo el base del verbo. Final, tengo que hacer el cambio. So, hay un sitio del cambio y este cambio en este caso es O a UE. Entonces aquí solo hay un O que se tiene que cambiar a U y E. Y después tenemos almuerzo. ¿Y qué es esto? Pues claro, es la bota. No se tiene que olvidar de la bota. Y con un verbo como almorzar, claro, se toma eso de almuerzo, se tiene que añadir el final, almuerzo. Tú almuerzas, él, ella, usted almuerza. Claro, ahora estamos afuera de la bota, aquí no hay el cambio. Es almorzamos. No hay un cambio de O a UI, simplemente se queda con el O. Y después vosotros, pero tengo que hacer el vosotros. ¿Que sí? ¿Tú quieres ir a España o qué? Bueno, entonces si quieres ir a España, tienes que aprender cómo hacer lo del vosotros. Entonces es vosotros almorzáis. Super. Y después, ahora estamos adentro de la bota. Ellos, ellas, ustedes almuerzan. Otra vez tenemos el cambio dentro del verbo. Y aquí tenemos los verbos que son parecidos al verbo almorzar. Los verbos que terminan también en AR, pero que también tienen este O a UI o UE cambio. O a UE. Entonces tenemos costar, que significa to cost. Y después tenemos demostrar, que significa to show or to demonstrate. Encontrar, que significa to find. Jugar, que aquí se tiene que notar, eso no es un O. It's not an O, it's a U, but it still has the same change. U to UE change. So it's a little bit of an exception, but still follows relatively the same rule. So that's why it's here. So jugar significa to play, such as to play a sport, not to play an instrument. Mostrar significa aquí to show, like to show how to do something. Recordar significa to remember, sometimes to recall. Y soñar significa to dream. Y estos son los verbos que siguen el mismo trayectorio que el verbo de almorzar. They work the same way. Okay, estos eran los verbos de AR, the AR ending verbs that have this change O to UE within the stem. Now we're going to look at just some ER ending verbs that do the same thing, a verb such as volver. So can you try with the verb volver? Okay, O to UE es yo vuelvo, tú and here we have an E ending verb, so es vuelves, él, ella, usted vuelve. I'm just going to write that one so you just get the idea. Nosotros, of course, it's outside of the boot, so therefore nosotros es volvemos. Again, still my ER ending verb. Volvéis, and then vuelven. We have to change again. So on the next slide, I'm going to give you other verbs that act the same way. Okay, aquí tienes verbos como volver, o sea, they're ER ending verbs that have the O to UE stem change in the present tense. So llover significa to rain. Oler significa to smell, and this one is a little bit of an exception, so we're going to come back to it in a moment. Poder significa to be able to, or like you can do something. Y resolver significa to solve, like to solve a problem. Now the verb oler is a little bit of an exception because when you cross off the ending, you're left with this is the stem, and it would be like that. Okay, and in Spanish we do pronounce the U, so huelo, but we put an H there before it, so it's huelo. Yo huelo, tú hueles, etc. Significa to smell, like you smell like something or you're actually doing the smelling. Okay, go ahead and take this time to practice with a couple of the verbs that we've gone over, the verbs that change from the O to UE stem change in the present tense. So you're going to practice with costar, encontrar, recordar, poder, which remember is an ER ending verb, resolver, and just try the verb oler. So I will be going through these verbs explicitly on the next couple slides, but you can just, I'll start with the answers, so you can just check your answers right away and then skip to the next slide, and then I'll go back after I've shown you the answers to how to do each one. So it's when you go to the next slide, you'll just see the answers, and then I will continue explicitly and show you how to do it, and then go to the next one, and it'll do the same thing. So take this time to practice with these verbs, and then you can check your answers. Vamos. Okay, aquí tienes el verbo de costar. Here you have the verb to cost. Y todas las respuestas aquí. So you can check your answers here, and I'm going to erase it and then go over the answers in a moment. Notice that, just a side note with costar, is that you're probably not going to use the majority of these except for cuesta y cuestan. It costs or they cost if you're talking about buying things. Okay, so here I'm going to show you how to do the stem changing verb costar explicitly. Again, you don't need to watch this point if you understand the concept and you got your answers already. So the first thing that I want to do to remind myself is probably draw la bota, the boot, because it's a boot verb, so that helps me to remember. Okay, then the first step I want to do is cut off my ending, and I have the stem there. I know that this is an O to a UE changing verb, so I know that this O is going to change to UE, but only within la bota, so therefore everything but nosotros and vosotros, or nosotras and vosotras, para las chicas. Okay, so then I'd like to think about my subjects, so what it's going to be here, so él, ella, usted. Then I have ellos, ellas, y ustedes, and you can abbreviate those. And then, of course, I'm going to take the verb and I'm going to conjugate it. So now here I take the same stem, so I'm spelling it the same, C. When I get to the O, I'm putting a UE because it's in the boot, so it has this stem change there. And then I just continue spelling till I get the stem like I would any normal verb. And then, of course, I add my ending because it's an AR ending, and my regular endings are o as a, amos, ais, an, es, yo, cuesto. Then I do the same thing here, so I still have the same stem change in the same spot. The only thing that's different is because my subject is tú, es cuestas. Aquí tenemos cuesta. And then, of course, I go outside of the boot, and here I remember that it's not going to change. So here I take the original stem, cost, so cost, and there's no change here. And I just add my regular AR ending of amos, nosotros. Okay, so es costamos. Y después vosotros costáis. Don't forget your accent. And then I'm back within the boot, so es ustedes cuestan. I have the stem change that occurs there. My ending is an because it's a regular ending for the AR verbs. Ok, aquí tienes la respuesta del verbo encontrar, que significa to find. Yo encuentro, tú encuentras, él, ella encuentra, Nosotros encontramos, no change, vosotros encontráis y ellos, ellas, ustedes encuentran. Muy bien, ahora voy a explicar. I'll explain, so if you got it, you can move on. If not, stay for the explanation. Ok, aquí tengo el verbo encontrar. Entonces lo que voy a hacer es primero quitar el final, take off the end, so I'm left with the stem. The O here is going to change from O to UE. So anywhere that happens in the boot is going to have this change. So my subject, yo, tú, él, ella, usted. Okay, so yo va a ser yo, en, and here I'm going to spell the UE, encuentro, and then this is basically my stem, and I add the O, yo encuentro. Tú encuentras, él, ella, usted encuentra. Okay, para nosotros, I'm outside of the boot, so that means I'm not going to have this change. So es encontramos. Después, vosotros, okay, y encontráis. Y finalmente, dentro de la bota, inside the boot, para ellos, ellas y ustedes, tenemos el verbo encuentran, of course, with the change occurring because it is in the boot. Ok, y aquí tengo el verbo recordar, which means to remember, not to record something, so to remember. Y aquí tengo el cambio. So yo recuerdo, tú recuerdas, AR ending verb. Él, ella, usted recuerda. Nosotros recordamos. Aquí no hay un cambio, no change, because it's outside of the boot. Vosotros recordáis y ellos, ellas, ustedes recuerdan con un cambio dentro del verbo. Ok, ahora vas a practicar con el verbo poder. Entonces, intenta con el verbo poder, to be able to or can. Y aquí tienes las respuestas. Yo puedo, tú puedes, él, ella, usted puede. Aquí afuera de la bota, podemos, nosotros podemos, vosotros podéis, ellos, ellas, ustedes puedan aquí dentro de la bota. Ok, vamos a intentar con el verbo resolver. Remember to cross off the ER ending. It is an ER ending verb. And your stem change is going to occur there. So take a moment to draw out your boot and practice with the verb resolver. Ok, y aquí tienes las respuestas. Resolver, to solve. Yo resuelvo, tú resuelves, él, ella, usted resuelve. Nosotros resolvemos, vosotros resolvéis. Ellos, ellas, ustedes resuelven. Excelente. Ok, para el verbo al final, the last verb va a ser oler, que significa to smell. Remember, this one has kind of a weird little change, so let's see if you remember how to do it. Go ahead and pause the video and try it out now. Vamos. Ok, vamos a intentar. I'm going to show you how to do it. So we cross off the ending. We have this OL here. I remember that this is a super exception because instead of just U or O to UE, it actually is an H. So the O becomes H-U-E. And in Spanish, we don't pronounce that H. So it's todavía es yo huelo, hueles, and this is like a diphthong here sound between those two. So aquí tenemos yo huelo, still add my ending. Remember, it's an ER ending verb, so it's going to be normal there. Oops, hueles, not vuelves. Yo, tú hueles. Él, ella, usted huele. Nosotros. Aquí no hay un cambio. So this is where it gets confusing because there's not a change. Nosotros olemos. Oléis. So notice here there's no stem change. So it starts just with the O. Ellos, ellas, ustedes huelen. ¿Ok? Ok, gracias. Un super beso desde Katia. Gracias por escuchar. This has been the second video in stem changing verbs, and we have one more coming up, which is the E to the IE stem changing verbs. So that'll be the last one for the stem changing verbs in the present tense. Vamos. Gracias. Adiós. Chao.